Hello, gambling tubers, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VI, A Brave New World, with me, BlueAnkylo. Last episode, Celeste impersonated a famous opera singer, we had an awesome opera adventure, fought some octopi, and eventually ended up using the airship to get to the Imperial continent. You can enter it and get some free healing, which is nice. Or you could buy some random stuff. You could buy more in the original game. In this one, it's just weapons for Setzer, who, unfortunately, we can't take into combat for now. He'll be looking over his awesome luxury airship. We can use this guy to unequip stuff if you want to unequip the party. And I imagine, yeah, Setzer's over in his captain's quarters. It's already parked, we're fine. And we can go above deck if you'd like. Just a parked airship, no big deal. Easily missed screen though, that's one of the very few times you can see it parked. Alright, and then finally there's engine room. And then there is the secret, well, I guess you can probably guess what this room's for. You have to find it hidden behind the engine room to get there. Interesting, right? Alright, so welcome to the Empire. Now, if you really wanted to rush the game, you could head directly to the center of the continent to Vector, which is where we're supposed to go. But we're going to spend a little bit more time looking around. Also, now that we've got, from the last episode, we got some Esper points and all that, I'm going to keep pumping up Edgar's Vigor and HP for now. And also, we can learn some spells. So, I'd like to learn Haste. And maybe Safe, although, I mean, we'll learn them all quick enough. Yes. We'll learn Mute. Oops, I just accidentally unequipped it, so. Re-equip. If you press A somewhere else on the screen that's empty, you'll unequip your Esper. And then we've got Golem for more HP. And some spells. I think Float is pretty valuable. As is Warp, and Imp, at least, is a way to save remedies if you want to cast magic instead, so there's that. And then we'll learn those two soon enough. In case you're wondering, 30 SP is the most you can carry, so once you see people with 30 SP, you should probably spend it, because you're just wasting SP points. I would say for Locke, getting someone else that can cast Life is pretty valuable. And I'll probably get Bolt 2 next, although Cure 2 would be nice as well. And then finally, Celeste. One thing to note after her opera adventure, she's got all her weapons and equipment unequipped. So make sure you re-equip it before you send her into battle. And she may as well learn Life as well for now. She's already got Ice 2, so it's just need that spell yet. But anyway, we're starting to see a better selection of spells here as we're finally learning our Esper stuff. Not that Sabin will ever have a ton of spells, but that's a pretty good spell if you're fighting enemies that can do earthquakes and stuff. So speaking of Celeste, we really should give her some weapons here. And I believe her relics were unequipped as well, unfortunately. For now, I'm going to stick with the stat stick, which gives her better stats overall and some MP. And also the magic cube, which just gives her a bunch of MP. She's still my primary caster for now. Some of these other effects are good, don't get me wrong, but I do like having 150 MP pretty early on. That gives her, you know, quite the options in combat. I think I forgot to spend some Esper points. Yeah, I forgot to spend Locke's. So Locke, he definitely has the lowest HP right now, so boosting that up a little bit will be very useful. And then, for now... Oh, she doesn't have her level 4 yet. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at Albrook. So, the 3 towns in the Empire that are not Vector are not originally Imperial towns. They are, or have been, conquered by the Empire. I don't remember if Albrook was the first or second, but it was one of the early ones anyway. As they have explained a little bit. We can buy some stuff. Probably a good idea to have some spare Phoenix Downs in general, although we can cast the Raise spell or the Life spell now, so it's not as bad. Also, tinctures they're still very expensive, but they could be a lifesaver in an upcoming dungeon. Similarly, being turned to zombie is pretty brutal if it happens. Hasn't happened yet, but one day. Alright, so that's your general store. Nothing else too exciting. One thing I'll mention is be careful about weapon and armor shopping on the Imperial continent. This first town doesn't have the best gear, and you can waste a lot of money and then immediately find better stuff if you're not careful. So most of the gear here is going to be for Shadow and Cyan. Fortunately, we've already bought most of this stuff. Sakura is new, I believe. We don't need to buy them right now, but having some spares of these is actually pretty good. If I remember correctly, I'm not sure how Brave New World handles it, but these weapons can be thrown, and I believe they deal wind damage, which is kind of a rare element. It's difficult to deal wind damage. So if you're fighting an enemy that takes double damage to wind, this is one of the few ways you can get to it, which is pretty cool. So that's one of Shadow's really secret techniques. I mean, he's a ninja. Of course he's got secret techniques. Anyway, turns out when I was buying... No, there's a different weapon. Never mind. Forget everything I just said. Anyway, the weapons here you don't really need to buy right now. Alright, this could be interesting. A 1,000-year-old monster called Atma Weapon, but it's a myth. Atma Weapon was an agent of mass destruction during the War of the Magi, but it wasn't a monster, it was a sword. It drew its power from the wielder's own life force. We'll keep that in mind. Probably no such thing as giant weapon-style monsters. It's probably just a sword, right? Yeah, so at least some of the people that live here tell you that you might get better equipment if you explore. And the Imperial soldiers are pretty much jerks, as you'd expect. Oh, snap. Alright, that was an acceptable joke. I'll take that. I don't think anything here is new, and we're going to get better mithril armor soon, so you really shouldn't waste your money here. Although ninja gears may be about as good as you can get for Sabin and Locke. Headbands, also pretty good. Targe, if you like shields. If you want to equip a shield, this is probably the best shield so far. But, I don't know. I think these are empty? Yeah. Can't steal from the armor shop, right? Ah, and this is a famous painter. Remember this guy for later. But, for now, that doesn't mean anything. We know somewhere where there's a lot of paintings displayed, but the Emperor wants a special painting done of himself. Okay. Welcome to the coolest shop, or building, in Albrook. So we can buy some more stat sticks. If you missed Dragoon Seal, there's only worth even having 2. Barrier cubes, not very good. Safety gloves, not very good. We've seen all this stuff before, so nothing too important. I would consider buying a couple more stat sticks if you've got the spare GP and you feel like losing some status protection to have better overall stats. It's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, play that funky music. Alright! Found the place to really hang out. Place to be. So yeah, unfortunately the mod has made the Imperial soldiers even more lewd and rude than originally. Yeah. I mean, it's not out of character for Imperial soldiers in a bar to be a little bit rowdy and the language to suffer. But, you know, it doesn't really fit with my vision of Final Fantasy VI. We've talked about it in the comments a couple times, but yeah, the swearing of Brave New World I could do without. I understand some people probably think it's fine, but for me, I do think the mod would be better if that was just toned down a little bit. Maybe only like 1 or 2 in the entire mod, just for emphasis, you know. And some of the jokes being a little bit more than PG-13, totally acceptable. Like, that's not the problem, it's just... I feel like the swearing still stands out, and I don't think it should. So, apparently there's an Imperial base to the east somewhere. Don't even try to get through it, though. Alright, so just to really drive the message home, the Imperial soldiers are corrupt and pretty bad. Yeah, we'll get to Vector eventually. You need both a direction and a speed to get there. So I'm making math jokes. Come on, guys. Oh, by the way, don't listen to that guy that claims the legendary Atma weapon was a sword. It was totally a fearsome beast capable of mass destruction. This might be important. Legend has it that it was defeated by a phantom who was able to dispel its power. So that might be a tip for something later on. If it turns out that there is some sort of superpowered weapon called Atma. Maybe we should remember that some sort of phantom can dispel it or something. I don't know. Don't ask me, it's complicated. Anyway, you know the drill. I think that's it in this town. It's not a very awesome town, honestly. It's just lots of people to talk to and a little bit of backstory of Imperial destruction. So, as usual, new area will mean new enemies, and some of them will be pretty difficult. Lots of counterattacks and stuff, if I remember correctly. We're gonna make a counterclockwise sweep of the area. Hey, it's puppies! What do I want to do here? I need to figure out who counters what quickly. So it doesn't look like these guys countered physical, at least not the birds, or the whatever they call them. Just sort of pause it by clicking fight, basically. Alright, so it looks like the puppy counterattacks magic, maybe? And of course, my blitzing is completely out of line. So if he counters magic, then you want to kill him with physical. But I think he's got pretty good physical defense. Those spiked collar wearing dogs generally had high physical defense in this game. Fortunately, already need to heal. Oh, you know what? I forgot to equip something for Sabin as well. I mentioned it probably last episode. You know what? I haven't given out very many. +1 BlueAnkylo point if you remember what I forgot to do. But you have to remember it before now. I forgot to give him his Hell Claw. So he's been doing pure poison damage thus far when he could be doing fire damage. So be careful in the desert. Deserts tend to be bad in Brave New World. So this will be the Imperial base. Unfortunately, there's not really anything we can do here. Looks like there's some treasure, but they locked the door. And I don't think there's anything else that we can steal. If you talk to the soldiers, well, we'll see in a second. Can't get by. I would recommend also probably not talking to the armored Magitech soldiers. And you can see that green guy at the top right blocks your path to the right. I'm just gonna see if this is as bad as I would guess in Brave New World. Oh no, maybe we can fight this. Let's see what this is like. Not as bad as I would have first guessed. They're probably weak to lightning, actually. And maybe suplex. Getting a lot of counterattacks and extra attacks here with Locke. Now, they probably have humongous physical defense. Oh, that's not so bad. Well, that's a defense-piercing type attack, but they died quicker than I expected, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Ramu's not bad. Alright, so even if you win the fight, they kick you out. That's the catch, unfortunately. Wow, Celeste, way to go overboard there. So I like to make Locke kind of my new de facto healer, because his MP is less valuable than Celeste's. Just in general. So let's keep pumping up her magic and speed. The more turns she gets with her speed, the more damage she can deal, and the more magic she gets, the more damage she can deal as well. So, that Ramu attack, over 5,000 damage, wow. I guess he does do more damage if the targets aren't multiple. Alright. Don't use magic on the puppy. Now, I should have a drill. I forgot to go back and buy that. When I was back in Cohinglin, when I was buying that, the Golem Esper, I should have actually picked up his drill. That was my mistake. We haven't used the auto crossbow very often, so here you go. Excellent. I was hoping he'd target the puppy. Now we could use the Bile Blaster anyway, of course. So yeah, unlike the original Final Fantasy VI, I find the auto crossbow isn't the be-all, end-all. It's still not bad, but I think it was much better in the original. I don't like that attack very much. It just does too much damage if it hits. Reduces you to critical status. So I expect everyone will probably get to Esper level 5 or 6 pretty quickly, and then that'll slow down after that. Unfortunately, Locke's magic ability is considerably weaker than Celeste's, so his healing isn't as impressive. Alright, let's keep moving, try to get to the next city. I'd like to get all of the 3 side cities done today before we go to Vector for next episode. Unfortunately, we keep getting the same battle here. Should have attacked Spike. Doesn't really matter. I don't know if Runic will stop Whirlwind, but I'll figure it's worth a shot. Suplex, I think, will kill... I was hoping Runic would work on Fireball, too. Oh, so maybe don't use magic on those guys? I don't know. Unfortunately, Jump is not a piercing attack, so it doesn't get, it doesn't get that defense piercing ability that I'd like. Apparently that's not magic either. So Runic is not proving to be super valuable here. I believe Lodestone and Whirlwind are both reduced to critical type attacks. Fireball will probably kill Celeste though. That's just medium power target all type attack. Oh, I should have healed her, you know. Getting sloppy. And Celeste could really use those Esper levels. So yeah, this is kind of one of those points again in the game where Brave New World just... I do like the general challenge it adds to these random encounters, but it really bogs things down. Every battle, I'm basically stuck, you know, healing up and saving between. In the original game, you generally breeze through this a lot quicker. I could do with a bit lower enemy encounter rate, especially when it's the same encounter every time. Try some multi-target stuff. I don't know if it'll help. I don't really have the MP to burn on Celeste, though. Also, in the original game, you could bring tents and stuff with you. So anywhere on the overworld, you could restore all your MP pretty quickly. Which is something that we don't get. Oh, come on, Blue. What am I doing? I swear my gamepad, my new gamepad that I've been using for this Let's Play is just not as accurate as it needs to be. Never buy a wireless gamepad. It works most of the time. But if you have to do finicky inputs with, like, rolling D-pads... Oh, look at that damage. That's insane. We're all dead. There was nothing I could have done. Oh, come on. That combination is absolutely ridiculously impossible. With a little bit of bad luck, everyone gets down to critical HP, and then a target all magic that there's, at least as far as I know, at this point in the game, there's no way to ignore fire damage. Like, there's no... I guess Celeste dodged it. So I guess if you have high enough magic block, which the guys don't really have. I guess if I equipped a shield... No, it wouldn't make any difference. I don't think there's a good way to get magic block this early in the game. Plumed Hat would get us a little bit. Point is, like, that was super cheap. We're lucky that we didn't have to reload. I'm glad I saved it right before. But, I mean, look at that. Every battle. I have to go back to the menu and heal. And we're almost at the next town. Alright, at least it's a different group. Slightly. If I remember correctly, the Rain Man is particularly rude if he's the last enemy on the group. Some of these battles in the Empire specifically have a lot of different AI. If they're the last enemy, like if they're the only enemy alive, a lot of enemies get sort of beefed up significantly in this area. So be careful about that. Oh, good, they're all immune to fire. I've been working so hard to get that blitz to work, it doesn't even do anything. The Bioblaster is probably worth it. Alright. Could use a bunch of dried meat, but, Alright, have we learned any... I think most people have got an Esper level up, right? I don't generally, like, keep super good track of that. So, spells... Slow is not that important if you can use Suplex, because Suplex applies slow anyway. And, it's nice to get people that can start putting Safe on if you fight a boss that does a lot of physical damage. Similarly, the HP seems really valuable right now. And, we've already learned all that. So, next up is... Whatever, I'll just pick this up. We're almost done learning Sabin spells for now. Given the difficulties lately, I'd like to have more curing ability. And, HP. And then... Haste would be nice. I think I'll give, Celeste Haste next. 2 people casting Haste is better than 1. Come on, come on, come on, I can do it! Yeah! Okay, Tzen! Ouch. All hail the Empire. Or die. Well, we better go to the inn and rest, seeing as that travel pretty much wiped us out. It's not very friendly. The good news is we shouldn't need to fight any more random battles. Or, no more than 1 or 2, you'll see. That was the difficult part of the Empire, vacation, basically. Alright, so we got item shop. Nothing we need to buy, unless you like Red Bull. And if you like Red Bull, more power to you. Oh, maybe that's a bad thing about letting the Empire take over. They've got a draft. Oh, this is actually curious. So yeah, in the backstory for Tzen, they used to have they were like a independent kingdom, and then the Empire took over and killed all the royal family. So yeah, that's something. This kid, oh man, don't trust that kid. Alright, weapons should be slightly better this time. So, this is new. It actually doesn't do as much damage as the Hellclaw, but now we've got the chance to do water damage. So, depending on what you're fighting, poison, fire, or water. I really like the fact that Sabin can do all these various elemental damages now. And Drain is a pretty good spell. As long as you're not fighting undead, just steal some HP, why not? It doesn't seem to trigger very often, but, you know. And then, the Full Moon is like the upgrade to the Boomerang that I probably could have bought ages ago and just never did. We might want a Morning Star later, but for now, it's too expensive. I'll buy the Full Moon, though. Let's see, would I equip that to both? It does the same damage as a Switchblade, except it does full damage from the back row and double damage to flyers. But it's not that amazing. It is better than the Boomerang, though, clearly. I guess you could go double. This way, if I went double Full Moon, I could put her in the back row. Yeah, actually, that's fair enough. Hadn't considered that till just now. I've been saving my money up pretty effectively, so... You know, 272 damage, back row... That's actually pretty good. I think that's better than a shield. Oh, but the downside, of course, is she can't use Runic. Well, I'll keep a sword around. I won't sell it. The thing is, Runic only works on the type of magic you can learn. So it basically has to be with a little dot in front of it type magic. So if it's an enemy skill or a lore, we'll learn about those later, or one of like Gal's Rages types attacks, Runic won't do anything, which is why stuff like Fireball and Cyclone didn't, at least I don't think Cyclonic would be hit by Runic either. So it's unfortunately, it's difficult to get the full value out of that ability. White dresses are good, but we don't need them. I think this is the first time you can buy green berets. And as a side effect, they do give you HP MP up. So that's kind of neat. Tiger masks, I believe, are pretty good for Sabin and Gal. And then, of course, the tiaras. We've already got one, which is good enough. So let's see. Headband to Tiger mask. Oh, yeah. Straight upgrade. Definitely buy at least one. If you've got Gal, probably get him one for him. And it also said 50% fire damage. So that's fun. And then if we also want... okay, we got a green beret on Edgar. Is it better for Locke? He could use the HP. You know, 12% more HP and MP. It costs him a bit of vigor and speed. I don't know which one's better, but... a little bit more HP keeps him survivable. And it will stack. I'm almost 100% sure that it will stack. Like, when you get plus 30 from this, that will then be multiplied by 12%. You know, temporarily, not permanent. 30 is permanent, but the 12% will affect, you know, whatever your current HP is. So, that's pretty cool. Alright. Good. So this town at least had some stuff worth buying. Imperial troopers all over the place. Get off my lawn. Oh, man. So, just remember this area for later. We might come back. Might be important. Let's see. Amulet is the first time we've been able to buy one of these. Stone, Berserk, Muddle. We've had other items that can protect against Berserk and Muddle, I believe. Also, this is the first time you can buy a Spirit Ring for Death, Blind, and Poison. So it's basically a straight upgrade over the one that gives you Blind and Poison protection. And Death protection isn't bad. I think that will prevent being zombified as well. No. No, only the ribbon would protect from that, I think. I remember reading about this in the guide. I think Death only protects against, like, instant death attacks. I don't actually think it even works against Doom. We've seen Doom once in the Vargas fight. That's a little counter that ticks down to 0 and then you die. I believe this will only work on maybe X-Zone, because it's probably Death Effect if it does work, and the Death Spell. And there are some attacks that have, like, Death Elemental chance to kill you. And if you had, there's probably a level, not in this mod necessarily, but in the original game, there'd be like a level 5 death spell, where if your level's a multiple of 5 or something, you just instantly killed. This might protect from that. Anyway, I should buy one just to see what the stats of it are. And similarly with the amulet, but this is like all my money. I'm getting a little bit worried. Now, I'll buy the amulet later. It's too expensive. I just don't have enough spare gold right now. Just for interest's sake, I want to see if we remove the sprint shoes temporarily, what kind of stats do this Spirit Ring give? So it's got 15 defense, 5 stamina, and 5 vigor. That's not bad. It just depends on exactly... Like, if you're fighting enemies that can cast death, suddenly that item becomes really, really good. I don't think it works on Zombie or Doom, though, which are maybe more common. So, oh, a huge gate in the cave to the east. Well, that might be behind the Imperial camp. Unfortunately, we can't get there. And the girl's son has disappeared, so we can't get into her house. Maybe one day. Alright, we've spent enough time here. Talked about relics and went shopping for stuff that I can't really afford. Let's go to a chocobo stable. This will make traveling a lot better. It's the only way to travel, unless you have an airship. And we have an airship, we're just not allowed to fly it yet. Alright, so we want to go now to the far, far western side of the Empire, or, well, this continent. You could walk your way there, of course, but that's slower, and the combat is pretty grueling, so... As before, just like around Cohinglin, I recommend chocobo travel here. And it'll make this episode go by a lot smoother. Also, please feel free to enjoy the music. Alright, here we go. Welcome to Miranda! This also just happens to be the city that Celeste torched. Sure, she'll see some old friends here. Don't really need to sleep. Ah, my clock. No elixir? For shame. How dare you have a grandfather clock with no elixir, sir? We shall not shop in your establishment ever again. Just want to check these boxes. Yeah. Not very invaluable, but at least I found it, guys. At least I found it. So there's a shortcut here if you're looking for one. Used to be beautiful, now it's been torched. Won't someone please think of the children? The children have all been recruited or killed, unfortunately. Yeah. All 3 cities gone. Empire owns... Well, including South Figaro, Doma. I guess the Empire hasn't gone to Cohinglin or Jadur yet. And technically, the one in the Veld. Moblitz? I think they're all safe. Narsh for now. You know, they're about halfway through the world, maybe. So yeah, by the way, if you want to buy some mithril gear, this is where you get it. I'm gonna buy, like... Nah, the truth is... There's no way the mithril helm is going to give you the stats that the other ones do. This will be if you want defense stat. If you want to buff your defense up, buy a mithril helm. If you want speed, vigor, evade, whatever, use your other helmets. And then the mithril mail will be the same thing. It'll have more defense, but less evasion and less stats. It's probably not bad. It's just, I kind of prefer the stats to a small defense boost around now. It's really hard to get anyone's defense high enough to really reduce incoming physical damage anyway. So yeah, we could go from 87 defense up to maybe 150 if we equipped a shield and armor. Maybe 150, even that's probably pushing it. But until you can get over 200, it's just not going to matter much. Hey, at least this kid's having a good time. Just a casual dogfight in the middle of the town. You know, no big deal, right? Yeah, you know. Hey, Vix! He survived! I thought he was dead. Oh no, it's... See, okay, in the original translation, Vix... It was... Wedge and Vix at the beginning, I think? But then the translation corrected it properly to Biggs and Wedge, as they should be. And then Vix is now here. This is where he ended up. So he survived instead of getting nuked by that Esper at the very opening cutscene. That's what it is. That's why I recognize that name. Okay, so yeah, I'd like to buy a Trident, a water elemental spear that does more damage and gives you an HP buff. And I'd also like to buy a Rune Edge, which is... It's... Actually, I don't know if I want to buy it. We're gonna get some better swords soon. And this one spends MP on your attack. You can use Runic with it, and it does do a crit every time you attack. Nah, I'm not going to buy it. Maybe another time. But we definitely will keep Edgar's upgrade here. The only downside, if you consider it a downside, is it comes with Water Elemental, which some enemies might resist or absorb. But it does do more damage, and it gives them the same HP buff, I believe the old one did. All the auto counters and everything, I believe. And more damage. So Lola just so happens to be the woman who was dating that Imperial soldier who ended up in Moblitz, and we ended up writing a bunch of letters to her. You can see the doves hanging out around here. The doves, or carrier pigeon as they're probably called. Little tie-in to earlier in the story. This one's... You can change who's chasing who, which I always thought was kind of fun. Now she's chasing him. Now he's chasing her. Who is the one trying to escape? Find out for yourself. Alright, now I want to get into like one more battle here. And then I want to take a shortcut. Yeah, here's some of the other enemies. Good. I will hopefully kill them all instantly. These guys, if I remember correctly, love to berserk your party. Luckily, ice worked just fine. So I think I fought most of the random enemies around the area. But, surprise, surprise, there's another Chocobo stable. Let's go to Vector. I hope you guys knew about this one, because this is perhaps the most time-saving Chocobo hidden stable in the game. If you do go to Miranda anyway, this is the way back, without having to walk slowly and fight everything. Now, of course, we're shooting ourselves in the foot in terms of gold and experience and Esper levels. But, I just don't enjoy fighting around the Empire very much. You actually don't get very many magic points, or SP, and I just don't enjoy it. So anyway, this is Vector. You can get to it, there's kind of a mountain range surrounding it, but there's a bunch of passageways to the south, west, and north. So it's not particularly difficult to get to. We will begin this dungeon, or not dungeon, but we will explore this town today as well, and then that way we've done all the town exploring. And yeah, the people that live here are rude. So later, not today, we want to head this way. Remember, of course, it's been a couple episodes, but remember that our goal here is to get to the Magitech research facility to free the Espers. But we're not allowed past these guys. And don't talk to that old man until you're ready to do some stuff. We'll worry about that next episode. So, do you trust this guy? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about this guy. There's not even a door. So, yeah, basically the people that live here are almost as bad as the people that live in Zozo, in case you're wondering. The Empire is full of liars, thieves, and villains, basically. I don't really want to do it, but if you sleep there, he steals 1,000 GP. So essentially, it costs 1,000 GP to rest at the inn. So this guy, he can cast Cure on you. We're all at... No, look at Locke. 457 HP. Yeah, 1 HP. This kid is amazing. And yeah, General Leo's a real man. A real man's man. He doesn't need magic. Celeste took it involuntarily. Kefka was the first one experimented on. And I believe Gestalt probably was the last one infused. It's probably just those three. So here's some interesting weapons. They're pretty expensive. We'll randomly cast fire too. You can see Edgar can equip it. He can still jump with them, and if he does jump, the chances of the random cast go up quite a lot. So these are all really interesting. This weapon used to not be here. You could find one of them, and it would just cast Break, which was a chance to instant kill enemies with a stone. But now it does water damage, and Break deals, I think, wind damage. I think. So it's better now because it sort of fits in line with the other 3 elemental swords. I don't really want to spend my money on them, but they're worth considering buying some if you've got the spare GP. The armor shop's probably not worth it, though. But yeah, I think there'll be a place to buy those elemental swords later on eventually, but for now, that's the only place you can get them. Be careful up here, by the way. Good luck, friend. These soldiers, maybe not so friendly. In fact, this area is often missed if you're playing the game and you don't explore thoroughly. Apparently, the people that live here know a thing or two about Espers. I definitely want to hear something interesting. That's pretty interesting. This is interesting. Kefka was one of Sid's first experimental Magitech knights, but the process hadn't been perfected yet. So they know it made him crazy, even. Oh, well fine then. See if I care. Pure rotgut compared to Figaro. Apparently, fine wine is from Figaro. And yeah, most of the soldiers like Leo a lot more than Kefka. As you would expect, he's a real man's man that uses swords to fight. He doesn't use no magical trickery to get his point across. So I believe the... Oh, you didn't even have to talk to them. They just caught us. I believe the fights here are the same as they are at the Imperial camp. Kind of curious if we can steal anything, actually. Could kill them all with a Bio Blaster, but I'm kind of curious if there's anything worth stealing. Should have used Mug. Potions, alright. Well, they're actually pretty expensive healing items, to be honest. So you could probably infinitely steal a bunch of, what was it, potions and tonics, maybe? Probably worth using magic or piercing attacks on the defenders. Huzzah! Level up. So unfortunately, similar to the Imperial camp, you basically still get kicked out as soon as you get into a fight. You may have wondered, Blue, why did you skip this building? Just because I wanted to do it last. Is it Gestol or Gestal? Good thing we knew the answer. Now these guys may look familiar if you remember way back in the day, back in Narsh. I'm kind of glad I was able to steal another rename card there. I don't know how many of those you can get. I don't think I'll ever use them. No, Edgar! I wanted to steal 2 of those. It's just a rare steal, so it's kind of interesting. Oh. So it turns out, yeah, that this person actually has returner sympathies. So that's your actual inn for this area, and you get free healing, MP and HP. And I believe that's it for this area. We have to be careful up here, but I think the pub was the only building you could get into. I don't think there's anything else you can do. You could fight some Mega Armor if you wanted. But I think it'll be the same fight. Ah, got me. It'll be the same fight as we did at the camp earlier. Oh, look! Foxhound. Slightly different. Why not? Gotta get better at my blitzes. Gotta practice. Hooked on tonics! I am regretting not buying that drill, by the way. That's Edgar's single target piercing attack. I was saying earlier that, like, the jump command will usually deal more damage than the drill, which is true. But the drill has armor piercing, so if you're against a very heavily armored enemy, like a Magitech suit of armor, it would actually be the opposite, where the drill will do considerably more damage than the jump. The base damage for jump is higher, it's just, it doesn't have ignore armor. Alright, well with that, I think we're going to end our episode. We did our tour de Empire, and next time we're going to have to sneak into that Magitech facility. So, just in case, did we get any level ups or anything here? 6 SP is probably not enough. We still have lots of spells to learn, no big deal. Oh, we could learn, yeah, let's get haste on Celeste, I think. Bolt 2 is nice. Actually, it might be more useful in the short term. We'll get haste for her later on. Alright, well that's that for this episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed, and you didn't mind a little bit lower on the combat style. But we wanted to do some exploration, you know. To tell you the truth, I have a little bit of money, you know what? I really do like collecting stuff, and if I had the time, I would... Like, if I was playing on my own, I'd probably buy one of everything and just keep my inventory full to be a little bit of a collector. I wouldn't mind having an electric sword spare, because there might be some enemies weak to lightning coming up. And maybe one of these, because I think they're better than they used to be. They all do the same base damage, but I think this gives you a speed bonus if you equip it. So the electric sword is speed... Oh, I got them backwards. So the electric sword is electric elemental, which might be useful. And it gives you a speed boost. The storm one gives you stamina. I expect one of the other two, fire and blizzard, one of them gives you a magic bonus. And one of them probably gives you a vigor bonus. It's no big deal, but speed's pretty good. Instead of being fully back row, this will give her runic back. And a bit of speed, which isn't bad. And Edgar, I don't know. The trident is pretty good. But if we ever want him to do magic damage, we might equip a blade that has some sort of spell effect on it. Even though he can't two-hand them automatically. So if we go back to the storm blade, we'd probably want to give him a shield to go with it. We'll talk about that later on. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you next time for the assault on the Magitech facility. See you there.